thumbnail. Hello party people, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Tori. Thank you so much for being here today. So for today's video, I'm gonna do a little bit of a book haul for you all. When I don't buy retail for clothing, I do make up for with my book purchases. So I thought I would share with you all the books that I've accumulated over the past few months. A few books are missing because I will be doing a end of the summer reading wrap up, and I did end up reading some of those new books as quickly as I purchased them. Honestly, some of these I'm saving for the fall time, and some of them I've just been buying because I need the little serotonin boost every now and then. Let's hop into it. Perhaps one of the worst financial decisions I've made this year is forcing my brother to get the Barnes & Noble membership, because honestly, every time I walk into that store, even if I don't have a book in mind or something, I always think to myself about that 10% discount, and I somehow walk away with at least one book. I definitely am someone who likes to shop small as often as they can, but sometimes, you know, a little trip to the Grove really gets the spending energy flowing. So I feel like it's better than Amazon, so that's how I make my peace. The first book on this stack is The Argonauts by Maggie Nelson. I have Bluets by Maggie Nelson, which I have yet to read, but I do know that a lot of people really love this book. I feel like this is like canonically in like the books that all the hot girlies love, and I want to be a hot girl. I did buy this when it was on sale. I think Barnes & Noble was having like a 50% off this table sale a while ago, so which is why I picked it up. Just based on the back of this, it's called kind of like a genre-bending memoir, and it looks like it chronicles Maggie Nelson's relationship with her partner and a journey to and through a pregnancy to a rigorous exploration of sexuality, gender, and family. So I'm very excited to read this one day. I was planning on reading it when I was on my trip earlier this year, but obviously that didn't pan out, but I definitely want to get to this sometime soon. I'm not someone who loves a hardcover book, but they were doing a buy one get one 50% on hardcover books earlier this summer, and so I picked up these two. This first book is Cult Classic by Sloane Crosley. The cover is absolutely stunning. Look at it. I was inspired to pick this up because I recently got into this booktuber named Jalen, also known as The Bar and the Bookcase, and he talked a lot about this book, and he said if you're someone who doesn't like romances, this is a really fun bend on the genre. I'm someone who loves a romance, but him talking about this book really prompted me to buy it. It basically follows this woman named Lola who one day after dinner in Chinatown runs into an ex, and then consistently runs into exes around the city, so it no longer feels like a coincidence, but like something else is going on. After these run-ins, she kind of is forced to re-examine her relationship with her new fiance, and it also has her examining her relationship with her best friend and her former boss. It sounds very interesting, and honestly, I feel like my blurb of that just did not do enough justice. Anything occult in the title is definitely gonna get to me, and this cover, like I said, is stunning, and I feel like it feels like a fall book that I'm going to hop into for sure. The next book that I have is a big hardcover book, and that is A Very Nice Girl by Imogen Crimp. Again, another stunning cover. This blurb at the top also mentions that it feels like Sweet Bitter meets Normal People, and while I've never read Sweet Bitter, we know I'm a Sally Rooney stan, so I was very intrigued to pick this up. So I believe this story follows a singer named Anna who is a student in this really prestigious London conservatory, and she feels very out of place with her peers, and I believe she begins a relationship with an older, wealthier man named Max, and she's kind of confronted with the questions of, what do I really want to nurture? Do I really want to nurture my fledgling music career, or do I really just want human connection? And they read the blurb: a bitingly honest, darkly funny debut about ambition, sex, power, and love. A very nice girl cracks open the timeless questions of what it is to be young, what it is to want to be wanted, and what it is to find your calling but lose your way to it. So again, this is a kind of story that's very up my alley. I feel like there are so many books like this that kind of deal with these questions that have been coming out lately. What is it? Like Cleopatra and Frankenstein is a similar one that everyone's been loving recently. I picked up this one, and hopefully I will get to it, and hopefully I won't regret my decision. The next book that I have here is Woman Eating by Claire Coda, and as you can see, I cannot pass up a deal at Barnes & Noble. This one is definitely one of the books that I bought for specifically a fall vibe, so I really want to get to it this year. This book follows a young woman named Lydia who is an artist living in London, and she is not only an artist, but she is a vampire. From what I can tell by the blurb, she is mixed race. Her father is Japanese and a human, and her mother is a vampire. I think she's going through an identity crisis in that way. She's also going through an identity crisis because she enjoys being a vampire while her mother does not. Just judging from the blurb, it talks a lot about like female desire and female hunger and how we quench that hunger, how we satisfy that hunger. So I'm very excited to get to this sometime this fall. That's really all I know about this book. It sounds super interesting. The cover is absolutely stunning. The next book I have here is a book that I've been waiting to come out on paperback, and that is Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. I believe this is Dolly Alderton's first novel. I read her memoir, Everything I Know About Love, last year, and I really enjoyed it. I think part of it was just because the writing style was so casual and accessible, and also because it really hit me at a very poignant time in my life, you know, the mid-20s, so real. This story follows Nina, who's a writer in London, and she had just turned 30, and she decides to go on a first date. She's been healing from a long-term relationship that ended, and she meets this man, Max. Wow. I just realized A Very Nice Girl also has a man named Max in it, which is very interesting. She meets this man named Max, they really hit it off, but then he ends up ghosting her. But then after Max ghosts her, Nina is like kind of forced to reconcile and deal with all these other underlying problems in her life, like her father's dementia and just things going on in her personal life. I also realized that as I was like talking about this book, I have read a lot of books centered around writers this year. I read two Emily Henrys that centered around writers. I read Funny You Should Ask, which is centered around a writer. I just read Writers and Lovers for a book club. So something about female writers is really just hitting for me this year. Don't know why. Again, another stunning cover. Okay, I still have 4 books left to go in this haul, but this next one is the last one from Barnes & Noble, and that is Black Swans by Eve Babbitt. If you've been on this channel, if you've watched any of my other book videos, you know that I adore Eve Babbitt. Like almost every 20 something ever. But I really enjoy Eve Babbitt, and I'm kind of just working my way through her work, and this is the next one I picked up. This one is kind of similar to Slow Days Sauce Company. It's a collection of stories that are based on a fictitious Eve Babbitt, so they are kind of based on her life but not exactly as they happened. And I believe these stories span from the 1980s to the 1990s. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on Black Swans in particular from a lot of people, just because some people feel like Eve is in her bag when she talks a lot about her more reckless years during the 60s and 70s. But I'm still excited to dive into this. I started reading the first story, which is called Jealousy, and it's literally already hooked me. I'm pretty sure this might be my next read. So this is Black Swans. These next 3 books are actually not from Barnes & Noble. Let me hear a round of applause. They're actually from a indie bookstore here in LA called Skylight Books. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty proud of this haul simply because when I was checking out, the clerks at the bookstore complimented me on this haul. So my ego has been coasting on that for like a week now. But the first book that I have here with a little bookmark is Daddy by Emma Cline. It's a book of short stories. One of my favorite books, and one of the books that really got me into reading as an adult, was The Girls by Emma Cline. So I really just wanted to pick up another one of her works. I believe she also has a new book coming out at the end of this year. So I was like, I need to be back on my Emma Cline grind. This is just a collection of short stories that take place in California and in the Southwest, and kind of just dive into themes I really love. Let me read the back for you to paint a picture. In 10 stunning stories, Emma Cline portrays moments when the ordinary is disturbed, when daily life buckles, revealing the perversity and violence pulsing under the surface of people and life. She explores characters navigating the edge, discovering the limits of themselves and those around them. Power dynamics in families and relationships, the distance between their true and false selves. They want connection and belonging, but what they provoke is often closer to self-sabotage. What are the costs of one's choices, of the moments when we act or fail to act? These complexities are at the heart of Daddy, Emma Cline's sharp-eyed illumination of the contrary impulses that animate our inner lives. Everything about that little blurb is like right up my alley, so I'm very excited to hopefully dive into it this year as well. I feel like, as you can tell from this haul, I really love a book that like talks about a power dynamic and a relationship, that talks about the exploration of like true and false selves. So every buzzword that I could possibly think of was literally in this blurb. This next book is another book that I bought because it gives me fall vibes, and that is The Idiot by Elif Batuman. I really wanted to pick this up right now because, like I said, it gives me very fall vibes because it takes place at Harvard, and anything remotely collegiate, even if it only takes place on a college campus for like a month or like over the span of the year, just always feels like autumnal reading. So this book takes place in 1995 and it follows the main character Selin, or Celine, I'm not sure, I've heard it pronounced both ways, who is a daughter of Turkish immigrants, and she's starting her first year in Harvard. I really just want to start reading this. So many people whose opinions on books I really love cite this as one of their favorite books, so I really kind of want to like dive deep into it. I also know that this year the sequel to this book called Either Or came out, and that book was getting so many positive and raving reviews that I was like, I need to read this so I can read Either Or because I'm so intrigued by it. Again, another iconic cover. A lot of pink covers are happening right now, and I believe Selin is also a writer, so this is really adding to my theme of 2022 of reading books about writers. And then the last book I have to share with you is one that I'm not sure if I can share the cover on youtube.com without getting demonetized, so I'm covering part of it up, and that is A Touch of Jen by Beth Morgan. I was told that if you like the movie Ingrid Goes West, you would love this book. This book follows Remy and Alicia, who are a young couple who are kind of not the happiest couple ever, but one thing that really binds them together is their obsession with Remy's former co-worker, who has become kind of like a traveling blogger influencer type. Eventually the two of them run into Jen IRL, and then Jen invites them to a little surfing trip in the Hamptons for the weekend, and obviously shit hits the fan in the Hamptons. So hopefully I will get to Touch of Jen very soon, and it sounds very intriguing. I'm very excited. I just realized that not only are a lot of these books centered around female protagonists who are artists or writers, but 5 out of 9 of these books are debut novels for these writers, which is very interesting. But yes, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know if any of these books sound interesting to you, or if you've read them already. Please let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. And yeah, feel free to follow me on Instagram if you want to see more of me, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye!